This is Dave Rogers here with Imran Mohd Ali. How are you, Imran?
I'm doing great. Fine, thank you, Dave.
Today we're actually creating a wonderful special for people that are curious and interested and want to learn how to be really proficient at copywriting. And your journey for the last 2 years has been absolutely amazing. Your growth in the last 6 months has been incredible, as I've actually got to witness you and your fine-tuning and you're really honing in on your copywriting skills. Is there another word that you use when you describe copywriting?
When I speak on copywriting, a lot of people laugh and they kind of smile whenever I use these words. Yet the word that I really like to use is the word called black magic.
Yes.
And some people don't like it because it has an evil connotation. It really isn't. The reason why I liken it to black magic is because, in modern times, what if you could actually type in a certain way, write a certain manner, and then turn those words into cold hard cash? Now that would sound kind of magical, and a lot of people think it's impossible. Yet I've seen some of my inner circle friends doing it over and over again. And so I say to myself, I have to commit myself to this sorcery of sorts, and I want to learn on how to do copywriting as well. And that's been the journey that I've been on for the last 2 years, Dave. And it has been nothing short of rewarding. Now, a lot of people actually think that my success has been largely due to my ability to do internet marketing, but I beg to differ. Why? Because I think that internet marketing is simply 30% of the equation, and 70% of the equation has been my ability to pick up skills that has allowed me to be truly influential and also persuasive in either print and in the way that I spoke. But here's the thing, if you learned on how to write persuasively, it would become much easier for you to also speak persuasively.
Let me just redefine black magic a little bit for some of the listeners, because this isn't necessarily evil black magic, yet let's use a phrase out of the book called The Four Agreements about impeccable words. And this idea of impeccable words is almost like, it's from the Latin called pectus, which actually means sinful, which actually means black magic words that we use on ourselves to get ourselves unresourceful, not taking action, feeling less than powerful. Yet in your case, you're using words in your copy, in your words to persuade, to get people to take action.
That's true, Dave.
So let's go to some of your key tips on your key strategies, your key secrets of successful copywriting.
Right, you might want to have a paper and a pen ready for this because we go fast. Yet I do realize that this is available as a recording, so you can rewind if you want to. But having a paper and a pen is great because when you write it down, you actually begin to learn on how to organize your thoughts into words, which is an integral skill required in copywriting as well. Now, the first tip that I would give to you if you wanted to start out in copywriting is for you to be very clear about who your avatar really is. And an avatar is simply an ideal representation of who your target customer should be. So for example, if I was selling mattresses, and it's very good for the back, for people with back pain and spinal pain, then my avatar for selling these mattresses could actually be people between the ages of 45 until say 65. Why? Because I do realize that people above 45 have a higher incidence of back pain, spinal pain, and so on. And why not above 65? Because they may not necessarily be available or be using the internet that much, and therefore cannot consume my persuasive message online via my website. So that's the avatar. So my avatar would most likely be, again, people between the ages of 45 to 65, and they are at least earning $5,000 or more, or they have a substantial amount of money in the bank, because I am going to ask them to invest in mattresses that cost at least $5,000 or more. So these people actually place a lot of value on health and don't mind paying such money to get the best for their body. So now that you've already gotten out your avatar, what you want to do is that in the beginning of your copywriting, you may want to call out to them. So how it would look like on a typical sales letter would actually be, attention, adults with back pain. Now that would be something would actually address the needs of this target market. Or attention, adults over 45 who have tried every medication, yoga pose, or Pilates to no effect to solve their back problem, ... for example. So this is great because I'm calling them up, I know who they are, I know how old they are, and I know what they've already tried to alleviate their back pain, and then I'm trying to set this sales letter up to say that, hey, it's not your medication that's not working, it's not that you're not getting enough nutrition, rather it's the bait, the very bait that you sleep on for more than 12 hours a day. And so this is great because when you call out to people, Dave, when you call out to people and you say, attention ABC or DEF, they kind of pay attention a bit more as opposed to saying, hi everyone, attention everyone.
Right. So again, be specific, get that clarity of who your avatar is, maybe even write down a couple of key characteristics or qualities of this avatar, and then address them, call them out, and then set the copywriting into the next phase, which would be what?
Here's the thing, I like to build rapport because, I like to use this example. I say the number one reason why most couples break up, divorce, separate is because one party feels as if the other party doesn't understand them enough. And that is why you usually hear people saying, why can't you understand me? Why is it's such a simple matter, but you just don't seem to be able to get me? And so building rapport is very important aspect or component of written copywriting. And here's a general rule of thumb, the formula that I use over and over again. And this is the formula. If you can make someone feel as if they know more about their problems than they themselves do, then they will naturally assume that you have the solution for their problems. So again, if you can put into words and, be able to let someone feel as if you know more about their problems than they themselves do, naturally their minds would say, well, this guy must have the solution to my problem. So this is where you can actually talk about their problems and go into detail about the problems that they're currently facing. Go so deep inside to the emotional level and talk as if you actually suffer from those problems yourself. And they will begin to align themselves to you and they say, this guy understands me, therefore he might have the solution for me as well. And that's a tip that is really integral to all my copywriting pieces, and you have to make use of this as well.
Fantastic. So building rapport, connecting with them, empathizing with them, illustrating some of the challenges, the feelings, the experiences they might be going through, and therefore, again, have a certain amount of influence over them.
That's right.
Excellent. Number 3?
The next tip that I give is this, SBO, shiny, bright objects. Most human beings like new stuff. They like cutting edge stuff. They like things that are new. They like things that are exciting rather. So what do I mean by shiny, bright objects? If I were to tell you, well, you could live a better life, you could become much more effective. If I wrote a book on how to become more effective, you probably not buy it, right? But if I wrote a book on 7 habits of highly effective people as written by Stephen Covey, you probably buy it because now it's been turned into a proprietary formula. And the thing about the human mind is this: when somebody out there has a proprietary formula, you tend to trust them more. You tend to take their word and be able to trust them more. So another example could be Kiyosaki's EBSI model. It could be Brendon Burchard's 3-step system for influence. It could be Imran's 5-step online marketing system. And if you're a dating coach, it could even be a 3-step internal charisma thermometer formula that you could actually use to kind of entice people to say, hey, look, I actually came up with this proprietary formula or recipe that you can use as well, and this is not to be found anywhere else. Now, Dave, this is really exciting and sexy because people like to believe as if the reason why their problems are unsolved is because they've gone mainstream, and now they have to go off the mainstream road and look for other proprietary formulas that can actually help them along. So this is a tip that I will actually give you, is to create a proprietary formula around your solution as well.
That's fantastic, and that's mystery. That's a cutting edge.
Yes.
That's something that you've fine-tuned and made yourself. So
That's right.
that's something that really gets exciting, and the people who are reading it are curious and they really want to know more.
That's right.
Number 4.
Here's one thing that I missed out earlier as well.
Okay.
Actually, the headline. The headline is everything.
Yes.
A headline is actually the hook to your website. So if you go fishing, you probably need a hook to catch a fish if you were not using a net. Now, it's similar to a website as well. When you have a website, when somebody lands on your website, you have 4 seconds to either convince them to stay or for them to make the decision to leave. So one of the things that you can convince them to stay, because that's half the battle won, is actually to use a headline that serves as a hook. Now, in this headline, I would recommend that you make a bold claim, or perhaps a promise, or perhaps shock them. So if you want to make a bold claim, you could actually say, you can actually lose 65 pounds in 3 months if you read every single word on this page. Now that's a bold claim, and then you have to live up to your claims by substantiating or justifying what you've just said. But that hook is a powerful hook. A promise is good as well. You can actually say, I promise that if you read every single word on this website, you will begin to experience ABC benefit. And the other thing that I like to use is shock. Shock is very powerful. It appeals to the part of the brain that kind of triggers the fight or flight syndrome. And how would I use shock in my headlines? Let me think. If I was selling educational services or tuition to parents, I'd probably say, why not knowing these 3 changes in the educational syllabus can lead to your child failing their next English exam. Now, because it's so shocking, or I could actually say 7 things that your school teachers for your children right now don't even know that could affect their exam results. This is something that is very shocking. It makes the reader want to go on and read even more.
That's fantastic. So this idea of shock, really challenging, and I guess you can practice. And in fact, in the wonderful product that we've provided many of these listeners today, there's some really great headlines and learning about headlines and practicing headlines. Is there another tip that you might want to do with headlines or even testing that is so important in copywriting and getting some feedback from your marketplace?
Now, in copywriting circles or in the marketing world, there's this thing called A/B variation and testing. That's where you test a certain headline for maybe a month, and then you test another headline for the next month. Because in some of my testing, it's been rather surprising that a headline that I thought would do well actually did 75 to 80% more poorly as opposed to a headline that I considered very sterile and boring as well. So you never want to rest on your laurels. You definitely want to test your copywriting as well and keep on changing and tweaking stuff as you go along.
Fantastic. What are the great tips do you have for our listeners today?
Social proof.
Yes.
I think the human brain craves for social proof. You never want to be the first person to consume whatever it is that you're selling or the product, whatever it is that you're selling as well. So you want to be sure to let people know on your sales page and sales copywriting, include photographs of other people who have enjoyed your services, include testimonials as well. And right now as a listener, you might be going, oh, okay, I already know all of this stuff. I already know that I need to create a testimonial. Yet have you done it? Yet have you gone ahead and created and tried to get as many testimonials as you can? Now, here's a tip for a great testimonial. But before that, I will tell you what a lousy testimonial. A lousy testimonial is actually like this. Dave is a very caring person. Right. He was so helpful, and I recommend him 100%. That's horrible. It does nothing for people. It's like, okay, I'm not trying to buy friendship here. I'm not looking for a friendly Dave. I just want results. A better testimonial would actually follow this formula. It can actually sound something like this. Before I engaged Dave, I was absolutely terrified of public speaking. In fact, there were times that I would rather die than step on a stage. And then I heard that Dave was actually coaching people on how to do public speaking. And at first, I was a bit skeptical because I don't think that public speaking can ever be taught or be passed down as a skill. But after meeting up with him, I decided to go ahead anyway because I didn't have much to lose. I had everything to gain. And as a result, just 7 weeks after engaging him as a coach, I just landed my biggest gig presentation ever that has netted me close to $23,455 in speaking fees. Now, if you're thinking of looking for a public speaking coach, Dave is absolutely the person that you have to go for. Now, if you're thinking of whether you could get such good testimonials, Dave, for yourself or for your listeners over here, and thinking, hey, nobody's ever going to write for me such an amazing piece of testimonial. Now, the reason is because it's your fault. You have not given them a template from which they can operate from. So the template will actually be like this. Give them some questions on a piece of paper. Question number 1, where were you and what were your problems before you met Dave? Question number 2, what kind of skepticism and what was holding you back from hiring Dave in the first place? Question number 3, why did you go ahead and hire Dave anyway? Now, question number 4, how long did it take you to get from where you are to where you are now? Question number 5, what results specifically down to the minute details did you get? And number 6, would you recommend Dave to other people who are also afraid of public speaking? And the last one is very, very important. I kind of missed out on that earlier, which is you need to tell them about the associated emotions of how they felt after getting that result. Why? So I should actually say, I felt so relieved and I felt so happy that I finally able to speak. No longer are people looking down on me. It's very important because emotions sell.
Our listeners today, if you write those down for testimonials, that is one of the best summaries, the best descriptions on how to get great testimonials I've ever heard. Thank you very much, Imran. And we're going to continue with 1 or 2 more tips. That was absolutely fantastic. 1 or 2 more tips to our friends who are interested to learn about copywriting today.
We have a few more bonus tips, and depending on whether we have time, we actually go through some of them. One more thing that I really like to use is postscript, or they call it a PS at the bottom of the sales letter. Now, why this is very important is because a lot of people are actually what we call skimmers. They don't want to read through every single word on the page. What some people do is that they scroll all the way to the bottom to see what it's all about. So you must make sure that you have a very comprehensive postscript or PS at the bottom of the website or the bottom of the sales copy that kind of summarizes up all of the strongest benefits and points into point form. That's really important. Now, sometimes I don't only have 1 PS, I have 3 or 4 PSs at the bottom just to kind of drive through the fact that they are going to miss out if they don't buy right away.
Fantastic. Okay, so PS, and even I've seen in a number of them, it's maybe even a PS and then another PS, just
PSS
a
and
call to action to get people activated to move.
Right.
Anything else?
I also like to use this thing that many people don't actually use. It's worked so well for me in all of these industries. It's actually called use exclusive language, right? Oh, sorry, inclusive language rather. Use inclusive language. And what this means is that you use words such as inner circle, right? So you give the idea that you can either belong in my inner circle, or you can remain in the outer circle and do things as you've been doing for the longest time in your life. So some of the words that I would use is, again, inner circle, for the first time only, behind closed doors, listen in as you're like a fly on the wall listening into our conversations. I will reveal to you the secrets. Discover why others don't want you to know about this. And this is the one thing that if you apply it, you can begin to see results immediately for the first time ever, public release for example. Now, Dave, whenever I use this type of words, I find that people get really excited. I don't know why, at least. They get really excited and they tend to buy more of my products and services.
Well, this is the sales hypnosis component, and exclusive, inclusive, and there's another component that is often used, and that's limiting it to a number of people or limiting it to a certain time.
Right.
Would you share a little bit about the way that works from your perspective?
Yeah, I believe that the word is scarcity here,
Yes.
and human beings like what they cannot get or cannot get easily, and human beings are more afraid of pain than attracted by pleasure. So that when you threaten to take away something from them, they are more compelled to take action. So always include some form or sort of scarcity in your sales copy, either time limitations, either volume limitations, the first 7, the first 8, either discount limitations. Include some sort of limitation or scarcity inside your sales copy. Otherwise, people are not going to want to take action.
Well, this is really fantastic, Imran. It's is there any last tips you might want to have, or
Yes.
okay, go ahead. But also, I'm going to prep you a little bit, maybe a call to action for our audience today, maybe a site that they can go look at, or a follow up that we can explore.
Yeah. But before that, there's a few things as well. Storytelling. You've got to become very good at storytelling. They say that facts tell, stories sell. Because you've always been kind of engineered since you were a young kid and your parents were reading you stories, right? Now, religion is spread through stories as well, and fables as well. So you've got to learn on how to engineer stories within your copywriting so that it becomes much more readable, much more believable, much more memorable. Okay, so storytelling is important. The next thing is this: you've got to use guarantees in your copywriting, because if you don't use guarantees, people are going to doubt you. And this is assuming that you're actually selling something that you stand by and you actually believe in. One more thing is this: a lot of people are actually very confused between benefits and features. A lot of people put features on their website, and they kind of miss out on benefits. Now, here's a tip or trick that you can really use right now, right away, to begin to improve or turbocharge your sales copy or sales letter, which is this. I like to use the words so that. So, Dave, can you just give me a feature of, for example, of your, public speaking programs?
So overcoming fear so that your true story, your true essence can come alive and you can influence people and make a difference.
Right. So overcoming fear of public speaking is not a benefit. It's actually a feature. So how do you dress this up nicely? You actually say overcome your fear of public speaking so that you're then able to really leave an impact on planet Earth. Right? So benefits and features is very important. Be sure to use a so that after every single feature on your sales copy. And just one last tip, if I may, Dave.
Absolutely.
It's my personal favorite. I haven't actually seen a lot of people do this. I would like to see all of you listeners today to actually adopt a style of writing that I call conversational writing. Conversational writing simply means that you write the way you speak. And why this is great is because you come across as a human being, right? And when you speak, you notice that you use commas in the wrong places, full stops in the wrong places. You begin your sentences with and but. And usually if you're in proper English school, your teachers will probably tell you it's wrong. But it's okay to use it in sales copywriting because it humanizes you. It shows that you're a human being and that you write the way you speak. It's been very powerful. And in case you're kind of wondering how to get started in conversational copywriting, you can actually record yourself like what we're doing right now on MP3 on your iPhone or your Samsung Android. Just record yourself speaking in a sales pitch type of manner, and then you can transcribe it and then read it out again, write it out again on a piece of paper. But conversational writing is really one of the secrets I have not really shared a lot with people. So take a look at some of my posts on Facebook, Imran Mohd Ali. You can actually see a lot of my posts are actually very, very conversational.
Fantastic.
So you're talking about some of the resources that people can actually look at.
Yes.
I would recommend that if you're starting out and you're a bit, finding it a bit hard to do copywriting, you can actually invest in some copywriting software out there. I recommend one of my friends' software. His name is Marlon Sanders. If you were to Google for Marlon Sanders push button letter software, you can actually get it. It's really, really good. I believe it's only $67 or $57, I can't remember, but it's really good, and I still use it from time to time still. That's one of the tips I can give it to you. And the other tip is that if you wanted to outsource all of this, you can actually outsource it to a website that is called copyorDie.com. They're really good as well. They're about $400, and the website again is copyorDie.com. They do decent work.
Very good. Well, thank you very, very much, Imran. This is fantastic for our listeners today, and just wonderful richness in your feedback today. I guess as we bring it to a close, is there one last comment you'd like to share with anyone? I know that copywriting has transformed your life, and a nice, exciting way to finish off the session would be, what would be some words of wisdom?
I would say copywriting is something that you cannot master in 1 week. Don't even attempt. Don't beat yourself up about not being able to master copywriting. Yet, the one place that I would recommend you use copywriting over and over again is the place I call Facebook. It's because when you begin to write persuasive on Facebook, and you begin to see yourself getting more likes and more comments and more PMs as a result of your conversational writing on Facebook, you begin to get much more self-confidence, and that's where you begin to improve as well. So use Facebook as a blank canvas or blank template for you to try to persuade people through the written word.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. You have a great day, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. So you just have to edit out.